AI is a complete scam, or at least that's what you've been led on to believe. With the recent explosion in the popularity of AI, it's no secret that a lot of people feel that exact way. But the truth is that feeling, well, it's misplaced. What we really have to ask ourselves is, why do people feel that way? Of course, this has a lot to do with the fact that the AI market is saturated with subpar products. Tons of tools, hundreds of tools releasing on the market every single day, and they all pretty much do the same thing. And the truth is that they're just there to capitalize off the hype. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're browsing on the internet, trying to find a tool that solves one particular problem, and finally you come across something. The most revolutionary AI tool of the century. You quickly sign up, punch in the credit card information, and then there, voila, you have your problem solved. So you use it, and as you begin to use it and continue using it, you realize something. The results that it's giving you aren't really all that great. See, I like to describe these AI tools as the blue balls of business. They promise you the world and they almost get you there, but then they drop the ball at the very last minute. And the truth is that their outputs are not exactly where you want to be. In fact, most of the time they're far from it. So most people just give up on AI and leave it there, write off AI. It's not really that great just yet. But there is another way. This is the exact reason that our clients pay us very good money to fine-tune custom AI models for them. But what does that mean? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be covering in today's video. I'm going to be talking to you guys all about fine-tuning, what it is, why use it, and finally, how to actually do it for yourselves. So first and foremost, what exactly is fine-tuning? Well, essentially, it's a very easy way to take an existing large language model like GPT 3.5 Turbo and train it on very specific data that's personalized to your own situation, rather than getting some generic crappy response from your prompt and having to sit there for 2 hours and prompt GPT 3.5. It spits out the result that you want pretty much 98% of the time with only a single prompt. Now you do this with data sets, and you essentially expose it to task-specific examples of what you want it to be doing. For example, let's just say you wanted to fine-tune an AI model to write tweets in your specific voice. Well, you're going to create a data set with examples. So the example might look like this. Write a tweet about entrepreneurship like it was written by Zoro the Wiz, and then you'd show an example of one of my tweets about entrepreneurship. And essentially what you do is the same thing, over and over and over and over and over and over again. You can give it 10, 50, 100, or even thousands of examples. And of course, the more examples that you give it, the better it's going to be at doing what you want it to do. So we get what it is, but why do companies pay so much for it? Well, there's a lot of factors that go into this. 4 primarily. They pay so much for it because of the reduced time and effort, the reduced cost on their end, the hyper-personalization, and the hyper-efficiency. See, most AI tools that you've used on the internet, like I gave in my little scenario there, aren't really built to be personalized at that kind of level. Of course, there's some basic prompt engineering maybe on the back end. They have you put in some inputs that changes it quite a bit, but not fine-tuned like these models are. But with fine-tuning and enough of it, you get outputs that are exactly what you want. When it comes to reducing time, sure, you might be able to get a similar outcome if you're just using base GPT, but that's only, after 2-3 hours of sitting there prompting, which if you've invested that much time into having AI create it for you, you might as well have just done the task in general. Where you might spend hours prompting, you get your desired result with only a single prompt, or even sometimes just a single click of a button. And of course, with that comes reduced costs. As you guys know, ChatGPT, they charge for tokens. Of course, it's only cents on the dollar, but when you're using AI at a massive scale, those costs add up drastically. So finding ways to reduce that cost is incredibly beneficial to any company. And that's not even factoring in the time cost of using a base model as well. So something to keep in mind, but now that you guys know what fine-tuning is, let's go ahead and hop into the tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how to do it for yourselves. Now, there's a lot that we're going to be covering in this, but I want you guys to stick with me. We're going to be going, nice and slow, take it nice and easy. When it comes to fine-tuning, the very first thing that you need is, of course, your data. And what are you going to be fine-tuning this model on? Is it going to be, writing tweets, writing cold emails? Today, I'm going to be showing you guys an example of getting it to write cold emails, and I'm going to be comparing it to, GPT 3.5 or GPT-4, or even a popular copywriting tool called copy.ai. Straight off the bat, if you look at my screen, there are 2 ways that you can go about fine-tuning a model. When it comes to building your data set, you can either build it in a spreadsheet, like this, or what you can do is use the app that we're going to be using today. It's called Riku.ai, and essentially once you're inside the app, you're just going to go to the fine tuning studio. You're going to head over to create fine tune, and it's going to open this little data studio, and you can essentially build your data sets like this as well. It's comprised of 3 components: your system message, which is basically telling the AI, what it is. It's that you are a helpful assistant. You've seen that before. There's the user input, which is what the user is going to be, it's the prompt. It's going to be what the user's putting in when they're using it. And then there's the AI output. This is what the AI output should look like. AI is a master at pattern recognition, so the more times you do this, the better it's going to be. Now, to start this off, in order to fine-tune a model, you need at least 10 examples. If you don't have 10 examples, that's perfectly fine, because I'm going to show you how you can get some fake data, some synthetic data using a different software. Going back to our spreadsheet, as you can see here, I built out this spreadsheet, super basic, super simple, just 2 tabs, the prompt and the completion. Now, this would be fine-tuning it on sentiment analysis, which of course AI can already do perfectly fine, but this is just a simplified version to show you guys what this might look like in a spreadsheet. Essentially, the hard way of doing things would be taking this spreadsheet and converting it into JSON-L format. Now, that requires a little bit of Python, a little bit of custom code, and getting that into, OpenAI can be a bit of a hassle. So if you're a beginner, that's not the way we're going to go about doing things. We're going to be doing it using Riku. Now, if you want to build out your data set in a spreadsheet, essentially you're just going to have these headers. For me, it's super simple. It's just the prompt and the completion. I'll show you another one of my spreadsheets in just a second that had a bunch of different headers, but ideally you want to condense it into 2 or 3 headers, or else the conversion is not going to work. Now, this is just a basic example with sentiment analysis, but let me go ahead and show you guys my cold email example. Now, this is a lot to look at. It's very messy, as spreadsheets can be. So that's why if you're not very good at spreadsheets, I just wouldn't use it. It's very messy right now, but I'm going to be taking a lot of these examples right here and using them for Riku. Now, if you do build your data set on spreadsheets like this, let's just say this is my data spreadsheet. All you need to do is go to File, once you're ready, of course, and Download, and you're going to download it as a CSV. Now, from there, all you need to do is go back to the fine tune right here inside of Riku, and you're just going to click CSV to JSON-L, and you're just gonna, put in your dataset name, and you're gonna upload your CSV file, and you're going to click Run Conversion. Now, I'm not gonna do that because I have a different way that I'm gonna show you guys, but it's literally that simple. You just run the conversion, super simple, really easy. It'll be ready for fine tuning. Now, if you don't have 10 examples, because obviously you need 10 examples to fine tune the model, that's perfectly fine, because what you can do is use ChatGPT to create more examples. So I'm gonna show you what I was doing with GPT-4 to create, obviously, some more examples. So obviously I want to write cold emails. So what I did, I took all of my headers and I gave it the example, I gave it the email template, which is, exactly what we're going to be doing. And essentially what I did is it gave me another business. So I gave it my business structure, like the offer, all of the things that were going into my fine tune to write a great cold email. So all of my structure there. Now for you, it might just look like a couple examples of like completions. It might just look like a couple different, Alex Hormozy tweets or something like that. Now, essentially all I did was ask it to, can you give me 10 more examples just like this formatted in a table? And as you can see, it broke down all of my different data points and gave me 10 more examples that I could use for my data right there. So I have my ICP, my offer, QER, time frame, first name, all of that stuff that I could use as examples to fine tune the model. And of course, I built the actual emails, like the completions, myself, just because I wanted to make sure they were actually good cold emails. But coming up with more businesses, I just had ChatGPT come up with those for me. So that's a way you can go about doing that. If you have your 10 examples and you're ready to go, we're gonna head over to Riku, and essentially the system message, make sure you put this in nicely, because once you add your first example, you will not be able to change this. So I'm just gonna say you are a professional email copywriter. Your job is to write cold emails specifically for lead gen for B2B businesses. I think that's going to be good for now. We're just going to keep it nice and simple. Now, the input. This is going to be the prompt. There are a couple ways you can go about doing this, but I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to look at, our fine tune. I'm going to do something like, write me a cold email for my business. Our offer is that, let me go ahead and grab one of these offers here. Offer is that we help D2C brands scale using our unique, let me go ahead and grab that again, unique paid social and retention system. We helped because obviously case studies are important to include in any cold email. So I'm just going to say we helped Monkey World scale from 6K to over 60K in revenue in just 6 weeks. Our guarantee is that if we don't triple their revenue in 6 weeks, they don't pay. Okay, so something like that, right? Just super easy, super simple. Now, obviously, you know, with each one of these, you want to add a little bit of variation, but this is a great start. Now, from here, what we're gonna go ahead and do, I'm just gonna copy this because obviously this is the final output that we want to use. So it says, hey, Sean, gonna go ahead and space this out so that's formatted correctly. Gonna go ahead and do that. And then let's see here. Okay, we have a pretty good look at what this might look like. So we have quite a few different moving pieces right here. So I'm gonna say include for the prompt, just to give it a little bit more direction, include a personalized first line for people running Facebook ads, and include that we work on a pay per results basis. So something like that. Guards, Lucas Maxon. I'm gonna say for the sign off, include that it is from me, Lucas. Okay, cool. So that is our first input. That is our first one. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and click add entry, and it's going to add it right there. Beautiful. Now, what you're gonna do is doing this 10 times. So once you've, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and do this 10 times, you know, get a little bit creative with your inputs, get a little creative with the outputs, make sure that it's what you want. And I'm gonna see you guys once I've got 10 in here. All right, guys. So as you can see, if I scroll to the top here, I've got 10 entries right here in the top right corner. I've got 10 entries. Now, to be 100% real with you guys, I kind of just threw stuff in there just because I want to show you guys the process of actually, you know, getting it uploaded and everything like that. And I've already done this before, so I'm going to show you specifically for cold email. So I'm going to show you what that looks like when it's completed. Don't need to make a whole new fine-tuned model for cold email when I've already done it. But once you have all of your data in here, I always like to download the JSON-L just to, you know, just as a good measure, but that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to say cold email fine-tune. We're going to save and download that. Now from here, there are two ways that you can go about doing this. You can either click on create a fine-tuned model right here. It'll ask you, you know, what the name of it is. You just put that in there. You can upload your JSON-L file. Now, sometimes this is a bit hit or miss with Riku. Sometimes I don't get the fine-tuned model ID back. So that's an issue. Alternatively, what you can do if you don't want to do it right there is you can go ahead and click on, you know, create a fine-tuned model. You can upload the JSON-L. And if it doesn't, you can just start the fine-tune there. But if you don't get an email back, what will happen is you get an email back from OpenAI that will include your ID. And if you don't get that email back, there is another way that you can go about doing this. You can head to platform.openai.com/fine-tune, you know, sign in, get signed in and everything like that. And what you can do is click on create new, and the base model, it's going to be GPT Turbo. And from here, we can upload training data. As you can see here, we want it to be JSON-L. So we can upload this, go to downloads, go ahead and get that uploaded. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna upload and select right there. It's gonna be ready. And all we have to do from here is click on create. Boom. Now your model is being fine-tuned. It will give you a fine-tuned job ID. Shouldn't take more than usually like 10-15 minutes unless you have a lot of, you know, data, but it'll give you your job ID. It'll tell you the base model. And once this is done, it will give you your model ID. But just for the sake of saving time, let me show you guys where to put that once it's done. So I'm just gonna take this model right here. You know, obviously when it's done, you'll have your own model ID, but for the sake of this video, just keeping it simple, let's just, you know, use this as our example. Heading back to the fine-tuning studio, now you're gonna see a list of your fine-tunes. You're going to see the fine-tune model that you just created, and it's going to have this little wand next to it. It's gonna be illuminated, and the reason for that is because it's not done yet. It needs the fine-tuned model ID, which you will get from OpenAI. So once you have that, what you're gonna do is head back to the fine-tuning studio. You're gonna click on it, and all you have to do is click, you know, just paste it in there. Now, when you get your fine-tuned model ID, it will look something like this. It'll start with like an FT. It'll say GPT 3.5 Turbo, all this stuff relating to your name, and you can just paste that right in there. You'll confirm the ID, and then you'll have a fine-tuned chat here in Riku AI. Now, when it comes to using fine-tuned models, there's lots of ways that you can use them. In a second, I'm going to show you guys how to build a chat app right here inside of Riku, but you can use them anywhere. The cool thing is that even with like Zapier, for example, you can use your fine-tuned models in your Zaps. So for example, example, we have an automation set up with a client that writes cold emails when he onboards clients. So they'll put in their information in the onboarding form, and it'll use that as the prompt and use our fine-tuned model to write him his e-commerce emails. So you can use it in that. You can use it with Bubble if you're building a custom SaaS. You can use it with your chatbots, making API calls with VoiceFlow or BotPress. There's lots of different ways that you can go about using a fine-tuned model. Now, I'm going to show you guys kind of what that looks like. Okay, this isn't done. I keep checking just to see if we can get it in the video, but if not, that's okay. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to head to the chat app studio in Riku AI, and you're going to click on create new chat app, and it's going to come up with this little studio. Now, these chat apps are really cool because you can either, send people the links and they can interact with them right there, or what can happen is, you can embed it on a website so people can interact with it that way. Now, this is just like a little chat greeting message. You can say, let's, write some copy. Where this really shines is with the prompt. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that looks like in just a second. But what you can do right here is pick from your fine-tuned model. So you can click on the models right here, and as long as you put your model in there, you can pick your own fine-tuned model. So I'm going to say copywriting test, for example, because that's the one that I used for the cold email copywriting. Now, you can create a prompt right here that will essentially provide instructions for the persona of the chatbot. It's a super, super, super solid way to ensure that it is creating exactly what you want. So for example, I want it to follow this specific format. I put it over here because I'm really bad at keeping track of things. I want it to follow this specific format. So I'm going to go ahead and do is say, write a cold email based on the user's business information. Cold emails should be formatted as follows. Boom. So obviously I want it to be, hey, first name, I want a relevant first statement, pain point question, and then I want the offer social proof, the CTA, and finally the signature. That's obviously how I want to have it done. Now you guys can play around with this, get things going. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this out myself and just get it ready, and I will show you guys once I am done. Okay, so I've already messed around with this one just a little bit, but I'm gonna show you guys kind of what it looks like. This is the one that I obviously used for our cold emails. Now in my chat app prompt, as you can see, I've got it all filled out right here. I gave it an example. I gave it the specific, format that I want it to be done in. And so now it will do everything in that format. From here, all you need to do, for me, it already says session 1, but all you need to do is add a session. This is literally how little you need to give it for it to, give an example of a great offer or a great cold email. I'm going to click on add new session. It's going to kind of start me over, and I'm just going to give it some business information. So I just gave it the same parameters that I told you guys about earlier, the ICP, the first name, the offer, that kind of stuff. Not very much information at all. And I'll say, write me cold email. Go ahead and click on send. Now we're going to go ahead and wait for it to respond. Okay, cool. So we have obviously the ICP name. We have the personalized first line, which originally this was supposed to pull from LinkedIn because we were building a SaaS with it. So this isn't the greatest, obviously, but how are you finding your checkout page conversion rates? Cool. We have kind of a pain point question. We specialize in boosting conversion rates for e-commerce companies like yours. We added 7% to Monkey World's checkout page conversion rate within 14 days and reduced abandoned carts by 50%. So that kind of thing, add 10% to your checkout page conversion rates within 30 days or you don't pay. We work on a performance-based model to ensure your success. Interested in learning more. Super simple, super basic cold email, really easy to build. It's not anything super crazy. It's just like, here's another one. We implemented our solution for Monkey World and increased their checkout page conversion rates by 7% within 14 days while reducing abandoned carts by 50%. Interested in learning more. Great cold emails, right? Decent cold emails, only 10 examples. Now, to show you guys how drastically different this is from something like ChatGPT, we're going to hop over to ChatGPT. We're going to click on new chat, and we're just going to say, write me a cold email based on this business. See what it comes up with. Already, you and I both know that it's not going to convert, right? This is insanely long. Now, of course, we can probably go back and forth, just talking with it, make it shorter. It's not very great, right? Same thing with GPT 4.5. It's going to be, or not 4.5, GPT 4. It's going to be the same case, right? A cold outreach email based on this business information. As you can see, it's not going to be great. The subject line, for example, is absolutely horrible. That subject line is not going to convert. Creates these massive, drastically crazy, cold emails that aren't very good. Obviously, fine-tuning a custom AI model is a great way to get the results that you want in a much shorter amount of time. Could you arrive to the same result using ChatGPT? Yes, you can. But here's the thing, it's going to take 3-4 times as long, and that's just for cold emails. When we're dealing with things that are a lot more complex and that we need to, be moving on a constant scale, or with internal systems that we build, it's going to be a huge time waster having to go to ChatGPT and sit there and prompt for an hour. Just to give a little bit of context, the person that we were building an email marketing tool, he works with e-commerce companies, he does marketing for them, he does email marketing. He used to spend 2 to 3 hours just sitting in ChatGPT trying to get different email angles, coming up with ideas, just doing all of those things, when we completely automated that process for him. Right now he gets 50 to 100 different email angles, he gets an entire content calendar, and he gets 12 emails straight off the bat that are fine-tuned to his personalized style every time he onboards a client. And he has a custom SaaS that he can use to generate these emails with just one button. So when you compare that to spending 2 to 3 hours trying to get the perfect email or writing out some massive prompt, it's a huge improvement. And when you're talking, big companies, it makes a massive difference. But with that being said, guys, this is the end of the video. I do hope it was helpful for you guys. This is usually how I go about fine-tuning my models. There might be a better way to do it. I'm not sure. I'm sure there is a faster way. This is just how I do things, but I'm always open to suggestions. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, be sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more content from me, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another upload. Without further ado, guys, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.